I want to take a moment to thank our kind sponsor here from the Hawkeye of the Storm, Brad Van Meter, and his team down at State Farm in Des Moines. Definitely give him a call once the holiday weekend is complete, 515-256-6480. And you can check with him about homeowners insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, and so many other options to help keep you and your family safe and ready for what may come your way. Life is unpredictable. Be protected with Brad and his team down at State Farm. His website is bradvanmeter.com, and you can call him at 515-256-6480. Without further ado, we welcome a friendly face to the show. Miss Kachine Alexander is with us on a Thursday evening. We are not in Cancun. I'm sure both of us and many other Hawkeye fans would have loved to have been down there right now. What's the weather like in Charlotte right now? Might as well ask you that first.
I think it might, considering I didn't go outside today, I'm assuming it was like 60s, I think. So
okay.
Not terrible.
That's a little better than the 20 degrees we have here. Something like that in late November. Under the lights tomorrow night at Kinnick for the football finale. But the women took the hardwood tonight down at the Cancun Challenge and did so shorthanded because Lucy Olsen did not play in this one. You see some stats scrolling across the bottom of your screen. The Hawkeyes coming out on top, and this is, I think this is the epitome of winning ugly, right? Just gutting your way through a game.
Win is a win.
A win is a win. We're not going to look back at this game in March or April and call it any type of resume builder, but they do win on a neutral court, 69-62. And I'm sure we're going to spend a portion of this show talking about what may be Iowa's prospects tomorrow. on a very short turnaround with Lucy Olsen's health very much in question. Now, just to lead this off, just so everybody's aware, because I know some people did not watch the Flow College broadcast, and I don't even know that it was mentioned on the Flow College broadcast, but it was mentioned on Iowa's radio pregame show, and that is that Lucy Olsen reportedly injured her leg, cut her leg on some sort of a ledge, I'm assuming to be in Cancun, was my understanding, but what Jan said was that she did sustain a pretty deep cut to her leg, which made her actually put her on the questionable list heading into tonight. And then we got the alert that she would not be starting. She never saw the floor. She wasn't even dressed up. I didn't even see. They never really showed her on the sidelines, but I don't believe she was dressed. Was she, Kachine?
No.
So that will be a big question. I mean, if she was questionable a few hours before the game and was a late scratch, maybe she's good to go tomorrow. But this is against a much better team from the Big 12 and BYU. Now, BYU's getting set to play Rice as we speak down on that same court. But lots to get to. I mean, Iowa gutting out this performance. What are your major takeaways here just a few minutes removed from the Final Horn, Kachine?
Well, one thing I will say is I feel like, and maybe I'm going to say this probably more as a fan than a coach, or maybe both, but I feel like they did not play Lucy because they felt like she probably could go, but they probably need her more at the BYU game. If something happens in this game or something else, usually as a coach, you say, okay, can we get past this? Can we make it past this game and give her an extra 24 hours or whatever the case might have been of resting that knee, cut, whatever it is. And they probably thought that they could, ugly as it may be. I think that they still thought that they could kind of gut it through with the people that they had and against Rhode Island. That's my assumption, considering they said she was questionable. Right. Usually when they say that, it's usually because they can probably go, but we're still deciding if we want to do it or not. So hopefully that's a good thing. As far as everything else, honestly speaking, I don't have much to say about the game. It was ugly. It was exactly what we thought it would be, or I thought it would be once I realized she wasn't playing, because they haven't played without her. I will say the positive of it is that it gave Aaliyah Guyton some much needed time.
Right.
Because she's still very nervous. She's still I think I had tweeted out, like, just relax. Just play your game. Like, usually when you see freshmen, they're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should. Oh, I don't know if I should. When you do that is when you're going to make more mistakes. So it was good to see her kind of get that time, because it's clear that we're going to need her. So I'm happy that she was able to get that time. We were able to still come out with the win, and no damage was done, if that makes sense, with everything that happened today.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, Aaliyah hit a couple of big threes, and she clearly is uncomfortable, right? I mean, you said it.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought as the game went on, she settled down a little bit. She was incredibly uncomfortable on Sunday against Wazoo at home, right? Mm-hmm. And she's playing late in garbage time. And today she's playing in a game that was close from start to finish. And even when Iowa got up double figures there in the final few minutes, Rhode Island caused a few turnovers. There's so many things that you can look at on tape. And I do want to get your take on how Iowa deals with tape on a short turnaround. I'm going to ask you first. This is a very unique situation, right? Even in the NCAA tournament, you have a day rest. But when you play these Thanksgiving week tournaments,
Big Ten tournaments like this.
Say it again.
Big Ten tournaments like this. So what's going to happen? I'm sure that's what you're going to ask me, is what does this look like, right? So what's going to happen is they're going to go back to the hotel. They're going to get something to eat. The girls are going to shower, all that stuff. They're going to meet tonight. Coach has already drawn up both sides, right? So whoever is doing BYU scout is at the game right now. They stayed, whoever that is. I don't know who that is, but whoever that is, and Jan Jensen has stayed to watch this BYU game. So now they're going to watch that, etc., while the team and the staff go eat, do whatever they had planned. After that game, coach is going to, now there's two things that can happen. They can do it both ways. Usually they meet later tonight. It's just a quick, usually all going over personnel. We don't get deep into scout. It's just going over personnel. letting the girls get a feel for who they're playing. Sometimes they decide to have them eat while they're watching the first half of BYU. That's an option too. Depends on how you want to flip it, but it's still an option. If they do that, then what they will do is they wake up in the morning, they'll go over the full scout, kind of go through their day as normal. After shoot around, they'll have the managers will put a little tape somewhere in somebody's ballroom, somewhere of a court, and then you will go through some of the plays that you need to go through, things like that, because you can't go over everything in shoot around. It's impossible. Right. So you're kind of using that as a guide to kind of go through whatever you need to go through outside of shoot around, things like that, because shoot around is like half speed. I don't even know if it's half speed. I wouldn't even go there because you don't want to get anybody injured. So shoot around's really just shoot around. So they'll go through all of that stuff and then they'll get ready for the game as they would normal. But there's a couple of different ways they can handle it to begin with.
Yeah, YouTube Sucks wants to know if you have a year of eligibility remaining. Maybe you
Wouldn't
can
we all
fly down to Cancun to face the Cougars. I think they could use you at that position. So yeah, my big question and answer in asking you that, and you're right about the Big Ten tournament being the everyday format, but there were so many things that the young players can take from tonight because everybody got extended minutes with Lucy out. And so that's why I wondered how much can you really dissect the tape tonight? It sounds like
you're not watching this
at all. Yeah.
You're not watching it. Now, coaches might be, but the players are not watching this at all. Their main focus is to look forward to whatever the next game is. It's too much film. So you're really just trying to get them focused on the next game. You might talk about some things that you could have done better, that kind of stuff, but you're not really watching film. Now, tomorrow, maybe, depending on the situation, you might take an Aaliyah Guyton or something like that with her, whoever her position coach is, and have like a little one-on-one a little bit to kind of get her comfortable, see where she could do things. Sure. But you just move on. It's like a wash and go because, it's too quick of a turnaround.
I'm curious to ask you about what you thought of Addie because she was obviously called upon for heavy minutes and heavy scoring tonight. Again, she finished with a team high 18, 8 of 9, 5 boards. We're not seeing teams fronting her like they were earlier in the year. Now, again, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill against a Rhode Island team that has not been all that impressive, lost a lot during this past offseason. But once Addie got that, she was really what helped propel Iowa to that double-digit lead, which really put things away late in the second half. Are you seeing her taking steps as this young season progresses, or do you feel like she's just gaining confidence every performance she has of 15 to 20 points in a game?
Probably a little bit of both. She wasn't called on to really do anything her whole career of Iowa, right? Like give breaks. Now she's at a point where we might need her. And in this scenario, I think I texted you, I tweeted it. We needed to go inside. That was what we needed to do. Whenever you're discombobulated, your offense is all over the place. That is a sure reason why you need to go inside because your offense doesn't need to be smooth running when the ball is able to go inside and you're able to score that way. So I was definitely like, get the ball inside. Why are we not doing that? Why are we not? Get the ball inside? And then we finally started using that. And she started like wanting the ball, which was very surprising to me because I hadn't seen that side of her before where she was like wanting the ball. She was calling for it. So those are great signs. Great signs. And I think the more she gains confidence, the more she feels that out when she does come up against a big time post player, she should still have that confidence. So we shall see.
Lucy Olsen down tonight. I see a couple of people, I'm guessing maybe joined late. Rich wants to know why she was out. Yes, she is stating in the live chat, she apparently hit a ledge with her leg. I don't know what day this occurred. Could it have been today? I suppose, but she was apparently given stitches. That's the word on the street. And it was a deep wound, apparently. So we don't know if she's playing tomorrow, right? We may be able to get some word here soon from the radio broadcast because I'm guessing they'll talk with Jan post-game and they'll ask her that question. But of course, we're here on the live show, so I'll continue to keep my.
I don't think somebody said she won't play while she has stitches. That's not true because I've played with stitches many times. I think the issue with Lucy again, my assumption, because I don't know where the cut is. If they say knee, your knee, there's a lot of movement in your knee, right? So if you have a cut right on the front of your knee, that can, and I was watching her, she seemed a little stiff. So my assumption is that where that cut is and it went deep, it's sore. So if you're running the whole time and your knee's bending the whole time, that's not fun, of course, but it doesn't have anything to do with stitches. I can tell you that, because I don't play with stitches more times than I could count.
This comment, Iowa played like terrible without Lucy. It seems like no one can dribble the ball. Even the upper class looks lost. Well, here's the deal. I mean, we've said this how many times, Kachine, that Lucy's ability to Iowa loses Caitlin Clark, but they also lost ball handlers, and Gabby Marshall didn't handle the ball a lot when she wasn't shooting, but Kate Martin did. Certainly Molly Davis did. And then, with Lucy's ability to break a player down and actually score off the dribble, really the only other player right now that's proven that they can do that is Kylie Feuerbach. And she's been very inconsistent to this point. Had a couple of good games early on when she was in the starting lineup prior to Sydney Falter's return. But Sid, the kid, is not a break you down type of scorer. Hannah Stolke,
one-way driver.
She is, and she's scrappy, and people love her. I get it. Taylor McCabe can make threes. We've talked about her struggles on the defensive end, and she's not a creator. So their best offense is the post, right? Their best offense is Addison O'Grady. I can't believe I'm saying that, but with Lucy Olsen out, there isn't any question they have to get the ball down. Are you surprised Rhode Island didn't double more? And that was even alluded to on the broadcast, which was probably not the best either from Flo College, but we'll leave that to the side. But are you surprised they didn't just force the ball out of her hands and make someone else make shots?
At some point, you have to make some kind of adjustment. I think that, if I'm going to be honest with you, when Addison, the way she was posting up was hard to double because she was scoring quickly in that stretch. At the beginning, she was kind of doing up and unders. There was time for you to double. But the way that we were running our offense for Addison was two different ways. One, she was coming off a diagonal screen down to the block. Once she does that, she's literally catching and scoring. There's no double there. The second time she would catch it, she'd pass it out and then bury herself so deep under the basket that it didn't matter if you doubled because she's literally right there. She's 6'4". So I think it was the way that she was getting post-ups. It wasn't like your traditional where it's like get her the ball a little higher on the block, allow people to come double. That wasn't happening. It was very quick moves, very quick off of the diagonal or off of a cross screen, something of that sort. So I do think that had something to do with it, but I still would have at least attempted to double, although it probably wouldn't have worked, but I still would have at least attempted.
Are you surprised? I mean, you've been a part of this program. I know you're not a post, but I'm sure you know to an extent how these posts are taught, how they're coached. Are you surprised that Iowa posts don't dribble more? Is that more of a function of the way Jan wants them to play, or it just almost seems like that can be positive because they're elite without the ball at getting positioning and footwork, but it seems like Iowa fives travel so much. And I don't understand. Can you explain that to the average fan? Why does it seem like bigs on the women's side travel so much?
Because they have a little more leeway. There's no up and under in the men's game. So that's a travel in the men's game. There's no up and under there. So like how do I say this? Coach J would rather you score with no dribbles. That's her philosophy. Do your work early so you don't have to do it when you get the ball. You just got to finish, which we've seen throughout, Megan. We've seen it where they are doing their work early so well that all they got to do is catch and score. That's Coach J's bread and butter. The only other thing I can say that you're going to see more travels is because while you're learning this new way of doing things, you got to get your feet right. So Megan towards the end, she wasn't really traveling. Monica towards the end wasn't really. She had a couple where she just shifted her feet a little too fast because she got sped up. But overall, that's like Ava's going to travel, guaranteed, because she's just not used to that. Every post player wants to put the ball on the floor. It's like a bad habit. You don't have to put the ball on the floor. So you're going to see that as times go on. And plus, like I said, Addie is a little bit, she's better now. Even last year, she was struggling with that. But even this year, you can see her being able to use her feet better and able to get herself in positions where she can just turn and score. So that's definitely a Coach J thing.
Good stuff. Answered my question. So thank you, Cash. We do want to go to our phone line. We've got someone on our phone line. If you're interested in calling or chatting with Kachine or myself, you can call in either by phone, 515-635-1601. I'll throw that number up, but you're also able to tie in via StreamYard, and there's no app required. You just click the link, and it'll take you to your browser. You'll sign in very easily through either Facebook or Google, and you'll get into the studio. So let's go to our first caller of the day. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Kachine Alexander. Who's on the line?
Lomansky, Cory.
Hey, Lomansky. How you doing, sir?
Welcome back, the Elite Podcast in basketball. And you just look better and better the more Kachine's on your podcast, Cory. You just look better and better and better. I don't know what it is, but keep the gel in the hair and the beard clipped off, and you can finish the race.
I appreciate that, Lomansky. You sound better and better every time Kachine's on there. Is that the way I return the favor on that compliment?
That's a good one,
from her, and she's got swag, man. You got to lift up you've got swag, Cory, almost every podcast you do. But when Kachine gets on the program, you got to lift up your swag a little bit. You know, you run a good race, but she's always over the finish line with her swag.
Yeah, the Snuggies, the Snuggies definitely put me to shame, Lomansky.
Oh, and I got like a line of them for this season, so don't even worry.
Have you ever thought about starting your own line? Like your
Snuggie line? You know what? Maybe I should.
Obviously, you can't use the Snuggie brand unless you reach out.
No.
I'll tell you what, man. We need to. Did we ask this question last year? Does Snuggie still make, or do they still make legitimate Snuggies? Because somebody needs to reach out to Snuggie, and they need to be sponsoring the show. It's just too good of a match. Anyways, Lomansky, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. Go ahead.
When you get off track, you do your best work.
Some say that, yes.
Did you ever get Cash her Christmas present last year? Weren't you supposed to get her a Hawkeye shirt or another Snuggie in a different color? I'm just.
I do have a Snuggie. It's pink. I do have it. It's coming. Don't worry.
Well, so that was actually a viewer. A viewer ended up sending Kachine a Snuggie, and you've not debuted that one on the show yet, Kachine, right?
Not yet. I haven't heard from them. I want it to be when they're here. Yes. But they haven't called in. They ain't wrote nothing. So I'm like, well, dang. I hope they didn't leave us.
It's coming, Lomansky. Don't worry.
I haven't forgot about my super chat. And I'm proud of you, Mr. Cory. You never let me down. You never cease to amaze me.
Well, I appreciate that, Lomansky.
I got a question for Cash and even you, Cory. But, I'm old enough because I remember Jan 3-on-3, and that 3-on-3 basketball was a pass into the post without dribbling. I just wonder if that's a little bit of her history of, the guards can't go dig and knock the ball away, and it depends how quick you are. I just wonder if that's could be a little bit of Jan's history, and it helps turnovers. But this style of Iowa basketball, I think, is going to change a little bit without Caitlin. And I think we got a real possibility to be great in a different way with Hayden. And we've got the athletic Hannah, and we got more experienced in the post than Addie. Do you think we can go deep in the tournament in a different way with inside play as opposed to Caitlin being kind of the superstar? Do you think, or is modern day women's basketball that we've just got to get better at shooting threes? Because I guess they're not pressing that Coach Jan isn't, but it'd be nice to have a little better 3-point shooting. But can we be great in a different way? What do you two guys think?
Well, you got to have something else. Even if you have a post player, right, that's dominant, people are going to be throwing everything at them. So eventually you have to have somebody to do something on the outside. I think what would stop us or hinder us from going far is that we don't have any other guard right now outside of Lucy that we can count on night in and night out. Everybody else is very, very streaky. You don't know what you're going to get. Maybe you get an 0 for 3 Taylor McCabe. Maybe you get Sydney Falter who's turning the ball over left and right. Maybe you get, like, we have no idea what we're going to get. And that's the part that can hinder us, is because you need somebody else. Like, you have to. Just like you had Caitlin Clark, guess what? Who else you had? You had other people to step up. Kate Martin. You had other people that could take over if need be in those times. Kate Martin was famous for her 3-point shots in the corner because we needed somebody else. So regardless of, yes, Caitlin Clark can bail you out a lot of things, but even then we needed somebody. So even if Addie continues on her streak, and I hope she does, you still need another person. Like, you got to have another person that is doing something outside of Lucy. So, because you could take away 2 people if need be.
And let me just add my 2 cents on this, because preseason, Cash, you and I talked and we recorded a show about this team. But as the year has started to progress, we're about through the month of November. I think my expectations have changed a little bit, but also the parameters of what I believe need to happen, what needs to happen for this team to have success even into the month of March, have changed slightly. And I think even there's even a greater emphasis that has to be placed, especially after what we saw tonight, on Lucy Olsen's health, right? I'm not saying you put her in bubble wrap, but, you know, I don't know what, obviously things happen, but I kind of made a snarky comment to you prior to the game starting, Cash. I'm like, it's probably the state-of-the-art facilities they're playing in down in Cancun. That, I don't know I would love to know. I'm sure we'll never find out how she banged up her leg, but I guess her health is just so important because everything that Cash just outlined, her ability to create, her ability to handle the ball. But then the other thing, I think, if we're talking about a dark horse piece of criteria, Lemansky, in my mind, for this team to have more success than maybe just making the tournament, maybe you make the second round and sniff the Sweet 16, they've got to figure out a way to get these freshmen in hyper speed because I think, like what we've talked about, Tegan, she kind of struggled tonight, didn't play a ton of minutes, which is interesting. I know she's dealing with something medical. Her minutes were a little bit light this evening. Her ability to hit the 3, we know she has that ability at the high school level. She set records at her Wisconsin high school for her ability to shoot. She's been in a bit of a slump from outside, had a nice game against Drake, but they need 3-point shooting. So I think you figure out a way to get more out of her. They need Taylor Strimlow's defense. They need Taylor Strimlow's ball handling, but you can tell she's so green. She's committing turnovers now. And she was thrown into the starting lineup tonight, Kachine, and she's not ready to start. Like it just is what it is. It's not anything against her. And I love Taylor Strimlow. Love what I'm seeing out of Tegan Mulaney. Aaliyah Guyton's going to be really good. She's not even ready to play. I mean,
that's another thing. I didn't like that decision to start her in the first place. Let's call that what it was. I was very confused about it.
Who are you going to start? Kylie? Who are you going to start? Kylie?
I probably would have started Taylor McCabe over her. At least she's got. Listen. This is what would have happened. Stremlow's not a 1, right? So, like, nobody was in the position they were supposed to be in. So my mindset, Taylor would not have been the 1. I would have moved Kylie there.
Okay.
And just had a situation of that one. I just felt like throwing her into a starting lineup like that as a freshman, that is like, I already knew what that was going to look like. But I would have probably started Taylor McCabe. She's already started this year. So, like, why not go that route and move Kylie to the 1, have Taylor where she normally is, and do that? Kylie's played enough basketball in her lifetime to figure that out. So, and she's already helping when we need, like, an off guard to bring the ball up. So I didn't quite understand that one.
Yeah, and Aaliyah's not ready to play at all, I don't think. No. I mean, she's just coming off this injury, and she's playing. It was great to see her get garbage time the other night. But it was garbage time. They were up, 20, 30 points on Wazoo. And she had to come in and play significant minutes tonight. And, I mean, trial by fire. She's jumping in head first to the pool. And I'm sure in the long run, it will help her. But I mean, those are just all question marks, Lemansky. I just don't know where any of those players that we just ran through are going to be in March. And so far, I've not seen anything out of Kyler Feuerbach that makes me think she's going to be a consistent scoring threat and a consistent three-point shooter. She's shown flashes. She showed a flash tonight. She showed flashes over a couple of games in early November. But as it relates to upperclassmen, I don't know who else you rely on for scoring. So I think Lucy's health, obviously, number one, and then number two, can you speed up the development of those freshmen? Because they all, in a year or two, they're all going to be, that's going to be the nucleus, but they could use some of those early returns right now.
Correct.
We still got you, Lemansky?
You do. I think Lucy's commented about Carver's home attendance, and I think those young players keep packing Carver, and I know the fans will, because that will help those young players. You know, when you're tired and you don't want to give maybe the extra time in the gym and it gets cold in late winter, that'll motivate those young players to keep up the legacy. I think they could really urge them on to put in extra effort and get better and very fast. I want to thank Kachine and her era. I had nieces that played basketball, both her and their best friend, and I took them up to Timberwolves game because they were Reggie Miller fans, and I bought them seats in the first row behind the basket, and Reggie Miller went after a ball and ran right into them. They had Reggie Miller's sweat on them, and they were thrilled, and I was supposed to change places with them, and they wouldn't let me. They wanted to stay in the front row because they were so thrilled. So after that game, because they were so big on basketball, and they're both on the varsity women's basketball team, I said, well, you don't understand basketball yet. We got to go to Iowa City way back in the day, and I'll show you a great women's basketball team. And I took them down to Iowa women's basketball game, Kachine, when you could buy a ticket, move down a little bit, and get closer. And when they drove home with me, we got in a winter storm, and we stayed in Solon in the most basic hotel you ever, stayed in, and the walls were thin, and I couldn't get to sleep because they couldn't stop talking what a thrill it was that they didn't know women's basketball was played like that because they're playing high school basketball. So you cannot ever imagine, Cash, that those women now have daughters, young daughters, and they can talk about their experience at Iowa basketball. And you probably can't fathom the influence you've had on young girls just like Caitlin. I don't think you can ever fathom what's out there from your efforts in Iowa City. So thanks for the show, and I think we're going to have a good season. I'm looking forward to it. Good night.
Appreciate it, Lemansky.
Thanks,
and we just lost Sarah. Sarah, if you were on hold, you were next in line, so feel free to tune back in via StreamYard.
Come on back, Sarah.
The number is 515-635-1601. Lots of good stuff there from Lemansky. And Doug, thank you for the super chat, bringing up the 7-0 start. Next 5 games are very difficult. And yeah, Iowa State, man, they got pounded today. And I know they were playing South Carolina, and I know South Carolina was probably playing angry coming off that loss to UCLA. But I watched that game, Kachine, and right now, I know we can't jump the gun. They got a Big 12 team to play tomorrow. But right now, Iowa State looks very, very beatable. Yeah. Right now, like the last 3 games they've played have been very uninspiring. UNI, Drake, and now South Carolina's maybe the best team in the country, even though they've lost. What did you see from that? I'm assuming, did you watch the game on Fox earlier?
I only watched a little bit of it. I was busy cooking, but honestly speaking, they haven't looked good in a couple games. It seems like they've just kind of been hanging on by a thread. So, I mean, I knew and figured that this game would go the way it went, because I know that after the UCLA game, South Carolina's practices had to have been hell. I'm aware. Okay, so I knew they were going to come in like, oh yeah, no, we got something to prove. That wasn't us, that kind of thing. So I kind of knew they were to come in like that. I mean, 3 points though is crazy. Yeah, that's insane. But yeah, they haven't been looking good at all. Their defense is not great. And they're struggling. So Yeah, they're going to be out of the top 25 soon.
All right, Tyler, appreciate your super chat as well.
Happy
And he has a question
Thanksgiving!
for you. He wants to know, what do we know about BYU and what can the Hawkeyes do to best
Nothing.
fight
I'm
against
trying to go watch the game.
Yeah, we're not going to be on here a real long time because I'd like to be able to scout the Rice game. And hey, we did pay for flow. You know, you get flow hoops, you might as well take advantage of it.
Okay, I might as well get more than 2 games out of it.
Tyler, appreciate you super chat. I do want to ask you, because we still got about 350 people watching. I want to ask you, Kachine, the Flow Hoops broadcast. I put a poll up during the game. Better broadcast, BTN Plus or Flow Hoops? I don't know if you answered that poll.
What one?
BTN Plus was well in the lead when I checked it last. Let me see how many votes do we have so far on that poll. Go over to my Twitter and vote, folks. 89 votes. Right now, Big Ten Plus is at 79% of the vote. 79% of the vote, Big Ten Plus. Can someone,
though? I don't ever listen to it.
I've always
been like, I barely ever listen to it unless it's like Big Ten Network, Fox, CBS, something like that. It's almost like I tune it out. I don't even pay attention to it.
Okay. Well, one of my issues.
Why was it so bad? Fill me in. Why was it so bad?
I'm not saying it was bad. I did say this on my Twitter account right away, right out of the gates. I heard a Gabby Douglas mention. All right. Somebody brought up the female color person on the broadcast said something along the lines of Iowa's really going to miss Caitlin Clark, Kate Martin, and Gabby Douglas. Of course, Gabby Douglas, the Olympian, right? The Olympic gymnast, not the Iowa women's basketball player. So that was right out of the gates. And then the other thing is there was a delay. Did anybody notice this? There was a delay from not the crowd. The audio was fine with the rim, with the crowd. The audio there at the arena was fine. But there was a delay with the commentators, which tells me they must not have been in Cancun, because there was a significant delay after a shot would go in. The crowd would cheer, and then the commentator 2 seconds later, oh, what a shot. So anyways, it's just unfortunate because a lot of people are paying $20-$30 a month to watch this stuff. And I get it. I'm not trying to, it's not maybe as easy as people think, but some of those things can be avoided. Somebody called Sydney a falter today. And those little things really do bother me.
I don't pay attention to it, honestly speaking. I can't even tell you what those people were saying. Because it's like I tune in and I'm only watching the game and my thoughts. I don't really care about the other ones.
RC wants to know, Kachine, how long do you think it'll take for Aaliyah Guyton to be ready to take the lead at the point guard spot? I'm assuming this question is in regards to in relief of Lucy, because Lucy's still going to be the quote unquote one when she's healthy all year.
Mm-hmm. That depends on how much actual game time she could get. But keep in mind, this is a tough question for many reasons. One, she's a freshman. You never know how freshmen are going to translate over. So, or how long it's going to take. So that right there is a tough one. 2, she just got cleared a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago. So that means she got cleared for full contact a week and a half ago, which means she hasn't been doing full contact. That's not basketball. That's what you do in the gym by yourself. That's not the same thing. So for her nerves to go away, probably, I'd say probably at least 4 or 5 more games. For her nerves to be like, all right, I know what to expect. No freshman really knows what to expect because you have no idea. Then she's going to become nervous again when she plays Tennessee. I can tell you that right now. It's Tennessee. So I already know that's going to happen. But maybe 4 games before you don't see that like jittery person as soon as she steps on the court. Let's hope. Or maybe she might need a sports psychologist to help with that.
Bob does bring up BYU losing to Northern Colorado. So this is maybe not a power in the Big 12, but I mean, Rhode Island, let me pull up Rhode Island's, for people that don't know about Rhode Island women's basketball. Heading into this game, Rhode Island had lost to, let's see, they had lost to, who had they lost to? Had they lost to anybody? They had played a really cake schedule. Okay. Barely beat UT Arlington, barely beat Detroit Mercy. So, you know, again, they have not actually played anybody to this point. So they were undefeated. No, that's not right. I'm looking at, see, this is why I hate Google. I'm trying to find women's basketball and it shows me the men's team. I knew they were far from undefeated. No, the women had lost to Maine, had lost by 15 to St. John's, had lost to Albany, who Iowa football opens their season up with next year, and played Brown really close, only won by 5 against Brown. So, I mean, this is not a very good, what are they? They're not big. What are they? What conference are they in? A10? A10. This is not a great A10 program. It's a pretty good A10 conference in general. But anyways, so I don't know what to expect. We'll kind of get a feel for Rhode Island here in a little bit when we are able to tune in on the Rice game. I'm just trying to get an update on that.
I'm already watching it.
7-5. Cash has already checked out of this.
It's show right here on my phone. Hey, I'm trying to get ahead of the curve.
Mansky, appreciate the super chat, sir. Very much appreciated. Salute to the swag. Tune in to From the Hawkeye of the Storm all year, aka Snuggyville swag.
And have avocados on it.
The avocados is great. Avocados from Mexico. That's another potential sponsor. Look at all these potential sponsors that you are helping drive into the show, Kachine.
Avocado Snuggie.
Oh, all right. Couple things I want to get to. We did get the official box score. It took a little while to get the official box score from Iowa, but we have that now. 3 players finishing in double figures. I'll throw those stats back up on the bottom ticker. Again, if you want to call in, I'll keep this number. Let's go ahead and put this number up on a banner, and we'll throw the stats up on the bottom of the screen as I run through the box score from Iowa's 69-62 win over the Rhody women's basketball team. That's Rhode Island. You've got Hannah Stolke with 13 points on the night, 4 rebounds. Addie O'Grady with 18 and 5. She was 8 of 9 from the field. By the way, Hannah Stolke played heavy minutes. You expected that. 36 minutes played this evening. Taylor Stremlow started, did not score. She struggled, did have 4 assists, 6 turnovers. Kachine, here's one of those things as a young player. Talk about her not being ready to start. She's thrown into the starting lineup. But it's always fun to see her flash. I see a young player flash and make these tight passes, tight window type of passes early in the year. But then when she's in the game and she's getting, 20, 25 minutes in a game as the starter, and she's doing that and she's turning the ball over 6 times, it's not as pretty. It's frustrating. So we just have to realize this is who she is.
Turnovers and 0 rebounds. Oh,
yeah, that surprises me because I've told you I think she's an above average rebounder at her size, but it was not.
Yeah, but when you got so many other things on your brain, that's what happens.
And is it fair to say that when you're playing the 1, I know you were a guard and crashed the glass a lot, but as a 1, especially as the 1, as the starter with Lucy out, you're probably thinking more about getting back under most circumstances. Is that fair?
Yeah, but that doesn't change defensive though.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. And
0, you say? Nah.
Yeah, 0 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 turnovers. She was plus 11 when she was on the floor. If you want to look at a positive stat for Taylor, Sydney Falter with 5 points did have 9 big rebounds. They needed those because, again, without Lucy making shots, they created. Let's see, of those 9, she had 2 offensive rebounds, so not as many as I thought. 2 offensive rebounds for Sydney Falter, but 9 total. Kylie Feuerbach had 12 points, made a couple of threes early, and again, kind of trailed off as the game went on. She needs to have a complete performance tomorrow night, would really help her confidence. Taylor McCabe made a pair of threes. She was 2 of 6. Oh, and by the way, she was shooting 50% prior to the game against Wazoo, and now all of a sudden she's had a couple of games where she's shooting, 30% or less, right? So we'll follow that. Obviously, she's playing a few more minutes now with the backcourt injury to Lucy Olsen, but she's typically a very efficient scorer. Guyton made 2 threes, made a free throw, finished with 7. Tegan Mullally played just 7 minutes, so I'm curious as to why she only played 7. Did you see anything out of Tegan that made you think she would be better on the bench? And was there anything that she did early that you didn't like?
No.
Okay.
I no. But I also think that probably maybe there had to have been something with the fact that we didn't have a 1, so they had to kind of mix some things up, and maybe she just got the short end of the stick. I didn't think there was something that I was like on the bench. No.
Yeah. By the way, to Alexandra in the chat, when I say the term official box score, I'm talking about the official NCAA box score. I'm not talking about ESPN's box score. We did have all these stats up at the bottom of the screen at the very start of the show. So just for the record, when I say, I've had some people say that, well, just look on ESPN. Yes, I know you can find stats, but I'm talking about the official NCAA box score sheet. So anyways, that's where we're at. Let me see here. That's the wrong one. Where were we here? So Addie O'Grady finished with the 18, led all scorers. And then who did I miss? Ava Hayden did give him 4, made a pair of free throws. Good to see her at least score.
Guyton.
Yeah, we talked Guyton. 7 points.
Did you? I don't know if you said that in this last little. It's not even up there on your little thing. See?
She scored 7. What do you
I
want
don't
me
care.
to do?
She was, listen, for her to come in like she did, having played what? I don't even know if last game counts. We're not even counting last game because that don't even count. It's your real first game.
Yeah. No,
Them
big
2 threes was big time.
Those 3s were in big moments, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, that's my point. Back to back? What? Yeah, that's a gut. I like that.
Absolutely. And yeah, Callie Feuerbach, I mentioned her 12. So Iowa turning the ball over 22 times.
Oh.
22 times, Kachine.
I mean,
is that right?
Your ball handler's out.
22 times. That's not good. That's bad.
Listen, call it what you want.
Wow.
But when you've never had to do it, and then all of a sudden you have to do it, you're gonna get an ugly game. Everybody, I knew it was gonna be ugly from the jump.
I wonder when the last time Iowa was in the red for assist to turnover ratio. They were -4. And so was, by the way, Rhode Island. Rhode Island was -6. They had 18 turnovers, just 12 assists. Iowa with
the whole game's
22 turnovers. Can I ask you, are you surprised they didn't use the full court press earlier? Because it had some success there at the very end. But why not?
I didn't understand why they went away from it to begin with. They did do it at the beginning of the game, and then they stopped, and I didn't understand why.
I guess I didn't catch that, but yeah.
I would have done that the whole game.
Right.
As long as I could possibly do it, we was going to do it.
Yeah, Iowa's only offense, it's not like they were going to be breaking the press and scoring in the fast break. They're only, first of all, the press is designed to slow you down in general, right? But their offense was speed you up. But their only offense was getting Addie O'Grady settled at the block and scoring in the half court. So I don't quite understand why you wouldn't want to either try to force turnovers in that full court or speed them up where they're not comfortable. Yep. So that surprised me. Do you know much about that Rhode Island staff or program or anything? I mean,
I only know the head coach. I don't know everybody else on that. I know one of her assistants left that I did know. They went to Virginia. So I don't know what they have now.
And Iowa, two fast break points on the night. 21 off the bench, outscored Rhode Island 34-28 in the.
That was the point that was making me angry because we weren't attacking the press. We were just waiting to get trapped.
Yeah. Well, these are young players trying to break it, right?
I understand. Listen, I get it. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. You know the trap is coming. So why are you holding on to the ball to get trapped? It blows my mind.
You agree with Pierre's comment that Sydney Falter is the best rebounding guard in the Big Ten?
I have no comment on that because I have not seen every guard in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers say. Well, I was shot 52% as a team, 35% from 3, 6 of 17. They shot 77% from the free throw line. And speaking of free throws, ever since I made a comment about Hannah Stolke at around 80, she's kind of. I
apologize.
She's back to it. The last 2 games, she's shot closer to like 60% maybe total over these last couple of games. So, anyways, we do not know. We all we know about Lucy Olsen is that she is day to day. No word on whether she may or may not be available tomorrow night against BYU. Okay, I'm looking to see if we missed anything from the chat. Cyhawk C Money says you're about to fall asleep in that.
Not at all. I'm interested in this game. I played in a conference with Rice, so I'm curious. I haven't watched them since. Ooh.
What do you mean you played in that conference with Rice? What does that mean?
Sorry. When I say play, I'm talking about coached in the conference. Sorry.
Okay.
So sorry.
What's the Owls program like on the women's side?
Well, when I was there, their coach is now at Washington. But I do know Rice has had a lot of success since even after she left and went to Washington. Marshall, if I'm not mistaken, the last time they were in Conference USA, Marshall was the one that had won. But Rice is usually always scrappy. That's what I remember the most about them, which seems like they kind of still are. And then 2 of their assistant coaches used to coach at USC. Now they're coaching here at Rice. So should be interesting.
Good stuff. I don't see anything else necessarily pressing in the chat. I mean, somebody wants to know if you have an orange Snuggie. I mean, I guess we can cover that.
Oh,
do we have an orange Snuggie? Well, that's not orange. That's like
It has tangerines on it. What do you mean it's not orange? It's orange.
It's a citrus Snuggie.
It's orange. It's just not showing up as orange, but it's orange. It's orange.
All right. Well,
I have purple. I have green. I have orange. I have pink.
You still don't have a Hawkeye Snuggie though, correct?
I don't. They don't have any comfy ones. They're all like terrible fabric. I don't like that.
Interesting. Well, that may be.
If anybody finds me a Snuggie that is like, real, like nice, you see that? See that?
Yeah.
Like fluffy. Holla at me. But the other Snuggies, they're like paper thin. It's just for the print.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get you. If you
looks like a grapefruit. Come on, Ambush. It's not a grapefruit. That is a tangerine, sir.
If you're gonna have a Snuggie,
I don't know who that is.
if you're gonna have a Snuggie, it might as well be comfy, right? So exactly. I tried to rhyme them, but anyways. All right. Iowa defeating the Rhode Island Rams 69-62. And by the way, we haven't talked about Rhode Island's offensive performance. How about how do you pronounce her last name? Kaur.
I think they were saying car.
They were saying car. They were saying car.
Now, I don't know if that's real or not.
Yeah, she was
based off of who was saying it, but that's what they kept saying. It's car.
She was 4 of 3 from outside, kind of stretched Iowa's bigs out, and she took it to them. Very efficient. And what'd you think of her? 21 points, 5 rebounds on the night.
Yes, she can shoot the ball. That is definitely for certain. She struggled against Addison, though, because she was just throwing some stuff up there. I'm like, what? What is happening? But I do like our adjustment of putting Hannah on her when she started hitting those outside shots, because you can't put Addison all the way out there because then she's going to drive right past her. So I did like our adjustment on that when she started hitting from outside. But yeah, I'm sure she's one of those players that drive her coaches crazy.
And their only other player in double figures, Ines Debroy. I think she's French, right? She.
They had like 9 international players, so all of them are somewhere.
Right, 12 points for her. Did have 5 turnovers, along with 5. She fouled out. So anyways, offensively, Rhode Island struggled, with the exception of being Carr from outside. Did you feel like Iowa's defense was as good as it has been in recent? You felt like it was worse?
Now, it could have just been my mindset, because everything was just raggedy. Like, it just was. It was like Oh my God. Like offense was like a struggle. I felt like everything was just hard today. So if I will say this though, the only reason why I'm going to say that is because if Rhode Island was better, we would have gotten torched.
Yeah.
So like, if you think about that in the grand scheme of things, our defense just wasn't great. It just was so bad. The game in general, 18 turnovers, 22 turnovers, that it just was like, this is just horrible in its entirety. But sometimes you got to win ugly, man. Sometimes you got to win ugly. It is what it is. The game that we love.
It absolutely is.
3 times in life, and flush it.
Yeah,
it's a W. I'd rather win ugly than lose ugly. So
absolutely,
I'll take it.
Yeah, Iowa will take on the BYU Cougars on Flow College. Let me show you something else that this will be my last little finger poke at Flow College and their broadcast. Tell me, I'm going to show a graphic, and everybody, you tell me what's wrong with this graphic, Kachine. This was the graphic on the TV screen this evening. Tell me what's wrong with this. I bet you won't be able to tell me, but this just bothers me. When I saw this, I was immediately bothered by it. This is the schedule for tomorrow. What's wrong with this?
What's wrong with it, Corey?
What's wrong with it? What time does
Iowa? What's wrong with it?
You tell me. What time does Iowa play BYU?
Oh, I have no idea what time Iowa plays BYU tomorrow. I would know that. What time does Iowa play or supposed to play?
Well, it's got the time up there. It says 9 p.m. Yeah, 9 p.m. But is that Central? Is that Eastern? Is that Italy time? We have no idea. I've never seen.
You know that.
I have never seen a schedule, Cash, that doesn't tell you what time zone we're talking about. So it's actually, if you want me to dissect this, this is Mountain Time. Apparently, Cancun is on Mountain Time. That's fine.
Yeah, but weren't we actually playing South Carolina earlier?
Yeah, well, that was Fox Sports. Yeah, that was also bad, right? That was also bad. It happens
all the time, though. They always screw us up in Iowa State. It blows my mind, but whatever.
Yeah, they had the whole Tiger Hawk logo. It said Iowa State in the description, but they had Tiger Hawk logo. But I'll tell everybody, it's not 9 Central. It's 8 Central. It's on this thing called Flow College. And so I'm guessing people, if they didn't subscribe today, they're not going to do it tomorrow, right? But those little things do bother me. So anyways, Pierre says, stop it, Cash. We didn't have our best player. You're allowed to be.
Right, we didn't have our best player. It was still raggedy, regardless if we did or didn't. It was horrible. We won ugly. It's the game of basketball that we all love.
I'm sorry. You're right. My Jack, thank you for Cancun is on Eastern time. I thought Cancun was over. I don't even know where Cancun's at. So Cancun is, I got you. It's on Eastern time. That's right. 9 p.m.
You know where it's at? South.
South of you. Yeah, I know it's south.
South.
Really. Oh, yeah. I saw all the fans wearing shorts in the audience.
Jack.
So
appreciate you.
Yeah. So I'm the idiot actually because I didn't know that.
9 o'clock my time.
Not Mountain Time, it's Eastern Time. But at least put that in the graphic.
I get your point though, because they're not broadcasting to Cancun. So just like when we have Fox or whatever, exactly. They say Central or Eastern because everybody can see it. So I get your point.
Is anybody in Cancun subscribing to Flow Sports to watch that game? No, nobody in Cancun cares unless you got some sort of typhoid fever or really strong sushi illness from eating too much at the hotel the night before. You're not in your hotel room streaming the game. You're at the game. Anyways. All right, we've hit an hour, and Kachine wants to watch the Rice Owls versus the BYU Cougs. So we will be back tomorrow recapping Iowa and BYU. The Hawkeye women stay undefeated without their star player, Lucy Olsen. Folks, you can follow me at From the Hawkeye on Twitter /X. You can also follow me at From the Hawkeye on Instagram, From the Hawkeye of the Storm on Facebook. And I try to keep everybody in the loop. I'm not some insider, but once in a while, if I get a tidbit of information, I'll share it there. Or if you want to become a premium member on the YouTube channel, you can certainly do that. Just click the join button next to subscribe or subscribe, depending on if you've already bit the bullet there. And you can also donate to the show by clicking on any of the donation links in our descriptions. And if you're interested in sponsorship, you can reach out to me. The email is info@from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Info@from the Hawkeye of the Storm. But we'll be back with you tomorrow, recapping Iowa and BYU. Kachine, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy some Flow Hoops basketball, Flow College basketball, whatever they call it nowadays. And hopefully we're talking another Hawkeye win tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Got to do some shopping.